We're out at the bow range today. We're checking out this Sanlida Dragon X9 compound bow. This is one of the best selling compound bows on Amazon, and Sanlida reached out to me to do a review. I was a little skeptical at first. I actually emailed back and said that I really didn't feel comfortable reviewing this bow because I didn't think it was gonna be that high quality, but they reached back and said, hey, we'll send it to you for free. Check it out, see what you think about it, and then comment on some of your thoughts, impressions, that kind of stuff. So this video is going to be all about doing an unboxing as well as doing initial impressions video on this bow, show you what you get. So let's dive into this, see if this is actually a good deal or if this thing is just garbage. Let's get into it, guys. So first up, we're going to be doing an unboxing. We're going to roll some of that footage as well. This bow is pretty much for a beginner, I would say, somebody that hasn't shot bow a lot, somebody looking to grow into a bow because this thing has so much adjustability. But this right here, for under 300 bucks, you know, I think it's a pretty good deal, honestly. We're gonna go through doing some impressions, but honestly, this thing looks pretty good. I mean, we're gonna put it through its paces, obviously, but I'm kind of blown away with the quality just up front of what this thing is actually made out of. So if you're looking for a new compound bow, you know, this right here might be for you. I wish I would have had this when I was growing up. As a kid, we just had some crappy compound bows growing up in the 90s, and some of them were pretty expensive, or you just went to Walmart and got a really super crappy bow. But this right here, you know, I would have loved to have this. So in this video, we're going to be doing the unboxing as well as a setup, just a rough setup. If you want to see the full setup, subscribe, hit that notification bell. That way you can get that video. We're going to be doing a full setup on this where we show you how to paper tune it, how to go through, set this thing up, make sure all the timing and everything is good on it. And then we're also going to be making some videos going out to 3D archery range, doing some range time with this bow, and just showing you what this thing's actually capable of. We're also going to be beefing this thing up, putting some more accessories on it, some higher quality accessories, and then making this thing a little bit better than what it is right now. All right, we're going to head over and show you some of the footage from the unboxing, and we'll come back to the range, show you some more specs breakdowns, and let's get this thing shooting. All right, so we're gonna start tearing into this box and see what we get on the unboxing. First up here, pretty nice little case. Looking at the bow, I'm actually really impressed with the quality of the bow. This bow comes in at a really good price point, has some really good looking aesthetics to it. I like the color options that you get with this thing, but the bow is actually pretty impressive. So we're gonna be looking at more specs with the bow once we get back out to the field. So we'll talk about this a little bit more. I just kind of want to show what comes in the box itself. So you get a 5-pin sight, and this is also metal. The housing up here is plastic. It does have an LED light that you can use. And there's a little plastic piece up in there you have to remove to get it to work. So right there. Put your batteries back in. So don't forget, if your LED light doesn't work, that's what you have to do to get it to go back on. So there you go. Lights those up if you're hunting or shooting your bow in low light settings. You're able to illuminate the pins there. A lot of bow sights that you get on entry packages like this are not gonna have 5 pins. So the fact that you get 5 pins, that's pretty cool. And a little bubble level down here that works. You know, I like that. And it's a metal housing right here. So there's your bow sight that comes with it. You do get a whisker biscuit style containment rest. So this is metal over here, but the housing right here is plastic. So we'll show you how to mount that up as well. You do get a quiver. So this looks like it's a 5 arrow quiver. You can move this around. Seems pretty solid though. Nice padding up here in the top. So it has a little piece of cordage right there where you can hang it from like a tree limb, or if you have a hook or something you're bow hunting, you can take this off your bow and hang it up. but pretty standard quiver there. This does come with a stand that you can put on the bottom of your bow. Let's just say you're out in the yard, you're using this just to take a few shots or whatever, and you can actually use this as like a kickstand. That's cool. You got an owner's manual. So you have a little stabilizer here. It's more just like a shock absorber type thing. Not as much as a stabilizer, but it's very similar to what would come on like a vibration dampening piece to go on your bow. So that's what that's going to be mainly for. It does come with a arrow puller. If you get an arrow stuck in your target, sometimes it can be kind of hard to get out. So you can use this to kind of get a good grip on it. So you do have some backup screws and hardware. Got some Allen keys. You do have a wrist sling right here. It's actually a pretty nice little wrist sling. It's kind of got like some fake leather that goes around it, and then it's kind of like a, I don't know, really soft material in the middle. But it says Sanlida. It's pretty nice. Got the release aid. So this is just the normal trigger style release aid. And you can loop it through. And this does have full adjustability, so if you need more reach or less reach, then you can do that, and then it just secures around the D-loop. And there you go, there's your release aid. So with this kit, you do get some arrows, which is a nice little added feature. Most kits that you get are not gonna have arrows provided. These do have the 4-inch vanes, and I believe this is like a 32-inch arrow. This is a full carbon arrow, and it looks like this is in a 280 spine. So that's gonna hold up to pretty much any poundage this bow is gonna be able to put out. It does have the pin knock style knocks up here. But there you go. Comes with a dozen arrows. So that's gonna get you started, and they're pretty high quality arrows for a package like this. That's everything that comes in a box. We're gonna go through now and show you how to install these components, and then we're gonna get back out to the range and put this thing to the test. All right, so we're gonna go through and get most of this stuff put on the bow, and this is gonna be just the first video of a long series, but we're gonna be doing some tune-up videos on how to properly tune this thing up to optimize your performance out there on the range or in the field. But we're gonna be looking at that, as well as doing some videos where I take this out, do some 3D type stuff at the range. We're gonna shoot this thing on the range several times. So guys, definitely hit that subscribe button and the bell. That way you can get those follow-up videos as I'm pushing them out in regards to this bow. My goal is to give you guys the best possible information when it comes to this bow, that way you can get it set up. Because let's face it, this is really set up as a beginner's bow. So I want you guys to get off on the right foot when it comes to setting this thing up. So we're gonna start putting on the accessories on this bow. So we're gonna start with probably the sight. So you're gonna just take your sight, you're gonna locate the 2 little Allen screws up here on the top. You'll take these 2 screws out of the riser. You do have different options here for how far forward on the bow you want the sight. I'm just gonna put it right in the middle, the 2 middle holes. You can always adjust later on if you find out you need it adjusted differently. You don't wanna wrench down on these too much, but you wanna make sure they're nice and snug. The riser is aluminum, so you could strip that, so just make sure it's nice and snug. And there you go, that's your sight put on. Okay, the next thing we're gonna put on is the arrow rest. You take your rest, you want the opening to be facing up. You're gonna take the bolt out of the riser right above the handle. So you got your washer, your bolt. Just put that through right there and secure it to your bow. So another thing right here, this right here does have the capability to slide in and out. So you can move that however you need to, up and down. But what we're gonna do is go ahead and take our arrow. We're gonna put it in there, make sure that green fletching is facing up. Lock that on, and then we're just going to make sure that we're getting this pretty much level. Tighten that back down. So we got that leveled out. And please watch the tuning video because we're gonna make sure this is right on the money. Right now, we're just kind of eyeballing it to make sure that it's gonna be somewhat leveled out. Okay, the next thing we're gonna put on is gonna be our wrist sling and the stabilizer. And if you wanna see where the hole is for the stabilizer, it's just right there. But we're gonna go ahead, put that hole in front of it, put the stabilizer through that hole, and then just screw it in to the riser on the bow here. And then from there, you're just gonna loop this around through the riser, up through, and you're just gonna cinch that down just like you would any other buckle. You can adjust that how you need it. It just goes around like that. You can adjust this if you want it tighter or not as tight. So the next thing you're gonna wanna do is put on your arrow quiver. So it does have the piece that mounts to the bow connected to it. So you just kind of flip this forward and it kind of just swivels. The bottom one swivels and then you just pull it off. I take 2 of the screws that are provided in the little bag. So we're just gonna go with the shorter of the 2 different screws. Go ahead and place those in. Then on the sight, you have 2 holes right here on the very end. That's what we're gonna be screwing them into. And then we can go ahead and test the quiver. Goes in and then locks. All right, so it holds the arrow. I like how it's double containment. So we're gonna remove this for right now. So we got all the accessories on. The next thing we wanna do is get this thing set up for whoever's gonna be shooting this thing. So right now you can see the bolt is showing right here on the limb. That tells me that this thing is backed way out. I mean, a kid could probably shoot this. It's probably only sitting at maybe 20 pounds of pull right there for the draw weight. So all you have to do to tighten this up is find the limb pocket right here, the bolt, and then you take the large Allen key that they provide, and we're just gonna tighten that down. So they do provide you with this long Allen wrench because it does take quite a bit of strength to put that in. So what I like to do, if an adult's shooting this, we're gonna go ahead and just go all the way in with it on both sides. And what that's gonna allow me to do is to have a good starting point. All right, so now I have the limb pocket tightened all the way down. So if you were shooting around 70 pounds, that's what should be on this bow right now. It doesn't quite feel like 70. It's probably around maybe 60, 65. We'll see. It's advertised as 0 all the way to 70 pounds of pull, but that doesn't seem like it's quite at 70. I don't have a bow scale. So that was the unboxing. And honestly, my impressions of this bow is, you know, it's got some high quality features and it doesn't cost a lot of money. The cams I really like. It's a 30-inch axle to axle, 6.5-inch brace height. So it's gonna be nice and forgiving for a beginner shooter. So brace height, that is from the crook of the handle right here to the string. That's the brace height. It's gonna be nice and forgiving. Axle to axle is from right here to right here, the axle that goes through the cam. So pretty short, compact bow, but this is a full-size bow. This is not just a toy like a lot of other bows on Amazon are. This is something that we could probably go out and hunt with. Obviously, after shooting and stuff like that, we're gonna have to make that determination, but just looking at this bow, I don't think there's anything that'll hinder this thing from performing too well. This thing has really good-looking cams on it. The limbs look nice, just the riser, nice CNC machine, 6061 aluminum. So that's pretty good. You get metal limb pockets on this thing, which there's a lot of bows that are $700-800 that don't have metal limb pockets. I've already made a little mark with some white paint right there, just so when we crank this down, we know how many turns that we've made. It's a little bit easier to indicate that. So talking about some of the specs, like we said, this is a milled 6061 aluminum riser, as well as the cams. So looking at these cams, So looking at the cams, they have Sanlida, you know, stamped in right there. Very good looking cam. And one cool thing I like about the cams is there's no real tough angles where that string is going to get the serving all bound up. I've had some bows in the past where the string makes some really harsh curves and it just really wears on that string serving. So this right here is nice and just kind of round. It makes a real long bend here. And then you can see this string is just pretty much nice and straight. So that doesn't put a lot of strain on that string, and it makes the draw cycle super smooth. And this thing does have a really smooth draw cycle. This does go from 0 all the way to 70 pounds of draw weight. So that's pretty good for a bow. This is gonna allow just any shooter the ability to shoot this. If you're a kid and you're just getting into shooting bow, you're 4 or 5 years old, and you're only looking to pull maybe 15 to 20 pounds, you can shoot this bow. And if you're a full-on adult and you're looking for a 70-pound bow, this is gonna be up your alley as well. Also has 70 to 80% let off. So when you're at full draw, it means the weight is gonna be pretty much off of it. So once you get it to a certain point, boom, it lets off, and you're just holding back a portion of the weight. That's what the let off means. But this bow right here has a really nice smooth draw cycle, and we're gonna hone in on the draw cycle a little bit more later on in the video. This does have a 310 IBO speed rating, which isn't the fastest, but for an entry-level bow, that's gonna get the job done. And with all this adjustability, I think that's a good trade-off for speed versus the adjustability that this thing has. All coming in at 4 pounds of weight, which isn't too bad. It feels really nice and balanced in the hand. I do like the handle, so I like shooting straight off the riser, so there's no rubber or any kind of overmolded handle. It's just straight on the riser. I like to get that really nice solid grip on this bow and not having to put a lot of torque on it from another outside handle. Really good feeling in the hands. So let's look at some of the components a little bit more close up now. So looking at these limbs, first off, you have a limb dampener. That's pretty cool. It's a really nice rubbery feeling, nice vibration dampening filling piece of rubber there. So that's cool. Like we said, metal limb pockets. That is really nice on this bow. And then these limbs, these are made in the USA from a company, I can't remember the name, but the limbs are actually USA made. Okay, and then you just have the standard bus cables that you have on most compound bows, which is really cool. It gives you the ability to tune this up really easy just by, you know, twisting those cables. But I haven't had any cam lean on this bow, so it comes from the factory set up pretty nice. Let's look at the riser. It's got like a powder coated finish. So it does come in 3 different colors. You got wilderness green, which is what this one is. It looks more like a desert tan, but they have a desert tan color. It's really light colored, almost, it's a lot lighter color than this. And then they have just a regular black version, but looks pretty cool. Has nice little curvatures in the riser there. Pretty thin. Yeah, overall, looks pretty good. Let's look at the cams a little bit more. So the cams are milled really nice. Got another painted finish on them. It's gonna hold up to the elements. And one cool thing, I can see the bearings and stuff down in there. They look pretty high quality. It doesn't look just like plastic shims down in there. You can see the bearings do look like they're very high quality metal. Right here you can see the cable stop. So this thing does have a pretty solid back wall, because look at that piece right there. It's very robust. A lot of times you'll just have a little piece that kind of sticks out right here, and that's what stops your cable at the back wall. So this thing has a very solid back wall. You can see that. A lot of times it's really squishy, but due to that big piece of metal being right there, it stops that cable very easily. So the adjustability you have is endless on this bow. So this is where you adjust the draw length. We'll go through, I do need to change this up a little bit. Draw length's a little bit too long for me, but essentially what you want to do is get your wingspan. So tip your finger to tip your finger, and then you're going to divide that by 2.5, and and that's going to give you roughly what your draw length needs to be. So wingspan in inches, divide that by 2.5, and you're going to get your draw length in inches, roughly. So another thing, the string is very nice. I haven't seen any issues with any of the string servings. Everything's been good. The D-loop was tied really nice. So this is a ready to hunt package, ready to shoot package. Has a peep sight already tied in to the string. And you know, it's pretty good. One cool thing about this peep sight is that you can slide it up and down. So it's already tied in, but one thing, you know, it's gonna twist, but I've found that if you twist it with the cable, you can get it back up to where it needs to be. So it's not a bad little peep sight, honestly. I've seen a lot worse than this. So there you go, peep's already tied in. You can just move it how you need to. And if you wanted to tie this in even better, take it to your bow shop and they can tie this in, get it nice and secured even better than it is. So for your cable slide, it's just a generic cable slide, but this is a very slick carbon rod. So it moves without any binding. I've had some bows, even on $1,000 bows, that kind of bind up right here. But this is nice and slick, so it's not doing that. Up front, the sight. I was actually impressed with this sight. It has metal construction on the side and the arm here, as well as most of this housing right here. The outer ring is plastic, but the pins are also metal. That's pretty cool. A lot of times you get plastic pins. These right here are, you know, fiber optic as well. But no issues with this sight. Honestly, it's a pretty decent sight. I would say if you went and bought this sight just by itself, this is a $25, $30 sight all day long if you bought it at Walmart or something like that. And like we said during the unboxing, it does have a light up here. So if you need to light this up in low light settings, you can do that. It does have the bubble level as well. Overall, that sight is pretty good. We're gonna get this thing sighted in. We'll show you how to do that. And then we have our whisker biscuit here. So this is a whisker biscuit style containment rest. Sanlida also wanted me to mention that if your bow does come with one of the older whisker biscuits, it's a little tight, and that's what causes the fletchings to kind of bind up when you're putting your arrows in. But you can see this one right here is the newer model. It doesn't have the brushes that are completely touching. This one actually has space in there. So I haven't had any issues with it so far. I do like this wrist sling. Pretty good little wrist sling, and the front stabilizer is not really a stabilizer, it's more of just a vibration dampener, just a piece of rubber out front there. But overall, pretty nice little bow. I mean, like I said, I wish I'd have had this back in the 90s when I was growing up. This would have been a heck of a machine. Just from looking at it, we're gonna shoot this thing and see what it's made out of. But next, let's get this thing adjusted to where we need to. I'll show you how to adjust the draw length. And I've already showed you how to adjust the draw weight. We do have this set at 70 right now. We do have it bottomed all the way out, but if you wanted to back this off and make it, you know, a 40-pound bow or a 20-pound bow, you can do that just by adjusting these little limb bolts right here. And I've already put those indicator lines on it, just so you can determine how many rotations you've made, and you can do it even on both ends. And then you're gonna be set up. But let's get into adjusting the draw length, and then we'll show you how to go through and tune this thing up a little bit. We're gonna put our release aid on. And honestly, I know that you get this for free, but this isn't a bad little release. These are better than the ones I had in the 90s, I'll just tell you that. And this thing was free. We had some really janky little release aids back in the 90s. Even the ones you bought from Walmart, they were a little mediocre at best. Okay, with these arrows that Sanlida gives you, they're not cut to length, so they are going to be, I think, 32 inches long. That's a long arrow, so it's going to do the job for a beginner, but you may want to take these to a bow shop or something, get them cut down to your length. So ideally, when you have your bow at full draw like this, you don't want that much arrow sticking out. You want probably about to right here where my fingertip is. you want that much sticking out. So you might want to get this cut down, but that's not going to affect the performance. Actually, a longer arrow can't hurt anything. It's actually probably going to make it even more stable in the air, but it's going to cut down on the speed rating, things like that, if you're looking for that kind of stuff. So just FYI on that. But right now we're going to go through and show you what you need to do to kind of get this thing mocked up to get it shooting. So for your sight, we already put it on, and we're going to take a few shots and see if we can get this thing sighted in. But the first thing you want to do is get your rest here leveled. So I would take, what I did off camera is I took a little ruler and I measured from the side of the riser here to the arrow. I want it to be even from at the front of the arrow right here off the riser and the back of the riser. That's going to get us pretty much where we need to be as far as just getting on target and getting this thing to where it's going to be shooting on paper. I'll show you a clip of me paper tuning this bow to get it even better. If you're interested in seeing that video, we're going to post that as well, show you how to tune this thing up start to finish. That way you're driving tacks with this thing. You also want to make sure that your arrow rest is centered out in the middle of the riser. So what I like to do is just look down. I put my arrow in. I want to look down my string. I want my arrow to be straight down the string, and I also want my pins to be lined up with my string. That way I know it's all one straight line, and that's going to get me pretty close. So when I go to actually shoot this at a target, I'm not going to be missing like a long ways off. It's going to be pretty close. So that's the first step you want to do. But like I said, tune into that future video we're going to do on tuning this thing up to get more precise with tuning this. But this right here is going to get you on paper shooting at your target. Okay, so to set the draw length on this thing, you have screws on both sides of the cam. I'm using my own wrenches for this just to make it easier. But it's going to be a smaller set screw right here. I'm just going to undo that just a little bit because this one actually slides. But make sure that you tighten those back up before you start shooting it. I'm going to loosen that one up on that side. And then I'm going to flip them around. And you can see that there's different markings and different numbers. The chart that Sanlida gives you actually has those numbers so you can compare it to your draw length. You don't have to just go guessing. But I've pulled this back a few times, and I think we need to take this down just like half an inch or so. So I'm gonna unscrew the screw right here, and we need to unscrew that one all the way. And we're gonna rotate this cam module. So I had it on the 2, we're actually gonna put it up about the 3. So this cam module right here rotates. Okay, and that's what stops that string where it needs to be. So we're gonna put that in. At the 3, we had it on the 2. We're putting it on the 3. I'm gonna tighten that back down. Okay, be careful when you're tightening this down not to strip out this aluminum cam, because you could strip it out pretty easily. On this side, we're gonna do the same thing. You can see where it's on the 2, we're gonna put it on the 3. I'm just loosening them up like that, and then loosen them by hand. Put it in the 3, and then put it back in the spot. I'm gonna crank it back down. But then you're just gonna go back to the other side, tighten down that other set screw. Once again, don't strip it. We'll do the other one. All right, we should be in the business now. All right, so that's kind of what we're looking for. Is the corner of the string, corner of your mouth, tip of your nose. I'm gonna have to adjust the peep sight a little bit. But then you want your nose kind of just sitting on the string. So I'm gonna have to adjust the peep just a little bit. Move the peep down just a little bit. Let's see if this helps any. So the arrows do kind of get hung in the rest right there. You can see how it kind of pulls off. So these arrow fletchings, the arrow is good. This is a good arrow, but the fletchings are too long for this arrow rest. So I would definitely, we'll talk about that and some of the cons, but you know, they're just arrow fletchings. You can probably just get some new arrows. Sanlida does make I think it's the Dragon 10 arrows. It's got the 2-inch fletchings, and that actually runs a lot better in this bow. But that's what I would look to do, is probably just get some new arrows or new fletchings to go on these. All right, so these are kind of the vanes that you want, 2-inch vanes. And you can see how when I put it in there, it just fits perfectly. So there's no issues. So these are kind of the arrows that you want to get, but the ones that come with them are good arrows. You just need to get some new vanes to go on them, or new fletchings. Let's see how this peep is now. Okay, right there. So that's pretty good. Corner of my mouth, nose is on the tip of my nose is on the string, and I'm looking right down through that peep. Give it a try. All right, it's almost dead on. So I've been doing this a while, so I've kind of got everything. I know how to kind of get them close, and I haven't really messed with this much. But let's tune this up just a little bit. So I noticed my arrow was a little bit low. So what I want to do is, I know my arrow rest is good. Only going to be using the sights now. So that last shot that we took, I saw that it was a little low. So what you want to do is locate the screw right here. That way you can raise it or lower it. We can do the elevation. So you're going to loosen that up. And with archery, let's say your arrow is hitting high above the target, you want to chase the arrow with your pins. So that means we're going to raise it just a touch, and then we're going to lock it back down. So a good rule of thumb, you always chase your arrow. That way it brings it back up. And the same thing if you're off left or right, because you can't adjust this left or right. We got it pretty much centered out and it worked. It's not always gonna be the case, but if you were hitting the left, all you have to do is move your sight to the left. And you're just gonna have to use this little screw right here on top. That's gonna allow you to move it left or right. So once again, you're chasing the arrow, you're shooting left, you're gonna move the sight left, you're missing right, you're gonna move the sight right to chase that arrow. All right, let's see where we're at now. All right, we're about dead on right there. So that's how you roughly get this thing sighted in. You can really get very fine with it, go through, shoot a lot of groups, get this thing really dialed in, is what we're gonna do in that next video that we make. But that's how you just roughly get this thing set up for draw length, got your draw weight already set up. And I would strongly suggest setting your draw weight first, because your draw weight is gonna affect your draw length, because these limb pockets do move, so that kind of messes with the length of the string and its settings. So draw weight first, then set your draw length. Now that we got this thing sighted in, let's shoot this thing at different ranges. And I'm just gonna get some initial impressions of how I think it shoots. So far, it seems pretty good in the hand. I'm actually gonna switch over to my other release because I think it's just a little bit better. It's what I'm used to. I shoot a thumb style release, but this release right here isn't that bad, honestly. If you're just starting out, this thing is gonna get it done. It's very adjustable, and it's nice that it comes with the kits. One thing less that you have to buy. All right, so you may have noticed we're not shooting with the quiver on. I don't like to shoot with the quiver on. I usually, anytime I'm hunting or anything like that, I'll use it to carry my arrows into the woods, and then I take my quiver off and I hang it up. So I don't like to shoot with it on. Another thing, we have our little bow stand right here, our little kickstand. Go ahead and put that thing on. Right there, that's how you do it. That's a little kickstand. See how this thing does. We do have the stock arrows, as you can tell. Keeps popping off right there. There's a little bit right. One thing I'm noticing, this thing is super quiet. And I don't know if it's just from the limb dampeners, stabilizer, the very basic little string stop right there, but this thing is pretty daggone quiet. Not a ton of vibration in the hand either. It's pretty balanced. It doesn't seem to try to take off too fast. There we go. Get a different angle right here. So I really like the grip. It allows you to get a really nice light grip on it. I like to just put my fingers right here, just on the front of the riser. I think I might have just busted a knock down there. It almost busted the other arrow. All right, so let's back this thing up. That was 15 yards. Let's back it on up to about 20, and then we'll take some shots at 30 as well. All right, we moved it back to 20. Shouldn't be much of a difference at 20 than 15. Should be pretty much shooting the same. I'm still gonna be using that first pin. Still aiming for that middle hay bale. All right. I think our tuning might be off just a little bit. That thing's kind of swirled a little bit, but hit dead center. It's actually a good shot. The arrow just did some wonkiness, but we're gonna get this thing paper tuned really good. Try one of the stock arrows. These keep getting hung up in the... Yeah, doing some wonkiness. Another premium arrow on this. Not too bad. So I will say this thing really quiet. I've shot a lot of bows that, you know, fire off a lot louder than this. So that is nice. Feels good in the hand. Not a lot of vibrations at all. And it doesn't try to jump too much. You know, it's a pretty smooth shooting bow, and I really like the draw cycle on this thing. So look at that. It's very smooth. It's not like a real harsh breakover. See, it just kind of breaks over. And then, like I said, this back wall, nice and strong back wall. So that's set at 70 pounds. Doesn't feel too crazy. So there you go. This thing shoots pretty good. All right, we're back at 30. See what we can make happen at 30. We've already established we need to tune this thing up just a little bit more. I think the rest needs to probably be tuned a little bit better. So here we go. I'm going to use my second pin down for 30. All right, not too bad. All right, shooting a little bit low. I should probably drop that one down just a touch. I'm gonna try my third pin down. All right, so we shot a little bit high, so it's right in between. You can spend a lot of time tuning this thing up, getting it sighted in, but that's not what this video is about. Just wanted to show you guys what this thing's actually capable of doing. And another thing, we're using a bunch of different arrows, so I wanted to show you the stock arrows and the premium arrows. So if you shot one really good set of arrows, then you're gonna be in the business. Also, I'm gonna be shooting some videos. Sanlida also sent me a bunch of different types of their arrows, so a bunch of different types of their premium arrows, so check out that review as well. that we're going to be doing. So also all the affiliate links are going to be in the description box below. Go check out Sanlida's website, find all those products. They got some good stuff, guys. I mean, honestly, I didn't know what I was expecting with getting this bow, but overall I think it's a pretty good deal. Well guys, this video was all about initial impressions and doing the unboxing. So I know this was a pretty lengthy video, but hopefully you get some good information out of this. There's quite a bit of videos on the X8, which is the predecessor to this, but this is the upgraded model. There's not a ton of videos out there about how to set this thing up, kind of what it does, what this thing's made out of, and some honest reviews. So like I said, they did send this to me for free, but that's not saying that I'm not going to give you my honest opinions on this, because I've always been honest on this channel from the get-go. I'm not going to show you guys anything I wouldn't back up or endorse for you to purchase. So overall impressions on this bow, I think for 300 bucks, it's like $269, I think, is the actual price on this bow. That's a pretty good deal. Honestly, this bow right here shoots just as good as my Diamond SB Deploy, and that thing was like 800 bucks when I bought it in 2018. I know the price on those have went down. Honestly, this thing shoots just as good as that bow does. I will say the cons on this is the accessories it comes with, a little cheap, a little on the cheap side. But like I said, the sight is pretty good. It's not bad. The stabilizer, it's gonna get the job done, but I mean, this is like $7 on Sanlida's website. You can get an extra stabilizer for pretty cheap, and I would strongly suggest getting some better upgrades for this bow. Yeah, this thing right here is just, I don't know. It's probably gonna break like the next time I use it, this little stand. It comes with these limb dampeners. That's pretty cool. A lot of bows don't have them, and then they're kind of a pain in the butt to put in your bow or install. So that's a nice little addition. The wrist sling is actually really nice. I'm not going to change that out. Another weak point is the whisker biscuit. This thing is just garbage. I'll probably throw that thing away when I get home because it's just garbage. So my honest impressions of this bow is, you know, it's a pretty good deal, honestly. I like the riser. I like how this thing feels. And when I was a kid, I spent a lot more money than 300 bucks on a bow that wasn't half the bow that this one is. So for that, I think you're getting a pretty good deal. It's like anything else right now, 2024, everything's getting cheaper, but better than what we had in the past. This thing has really good cams. I like the cams a lot. The adjustability that this bow has is just unparalleled. I think this thing is just a really good option, especially if you have a kid. I'm honestly going to probably set this bow up for my 11-year-old daughter and let her shoot this bow. It just has that much adjustability. Probably put it down to about 35 to 40 pounds for her. And yeah, we'll probably post a video of us doing that just to show you kind of who all can shoot this bow. It's pretty much for everybody. So yeah, there you go. That's my honest impressions. I didn't know what I was getting with this bow. They said just try it out and see what you think. I didn't have a lot of high expectations for it, but honestly, you know, it's a pretty good deal for under 300 bucks. And they still have the X8 out there. I think it's just a little over 200 bucks. You know, if you're looking for a even cheaper bow that's got a better reputation than this one does, because this one's newer, go for the X8. It's a lot cheaper and you get pretty much the same bow. So, and then if you're looking for a bow that's even better than this, they got the Dragon 10, the X10, and that is like their flagship top of the line bow, and it looks just like a Hoyt, and it's got some high quality features on it. All right guys, thanks for checking this out. Please like and subscribe. If you're looking to purchase one of these, find that affiliate link in the description box. Go help me out on the channel, and maybe we can get some more high quality stuff from Sanlida, like the Dragon X10 and bows like that. We can kind of showcase if you're interested in those too. So there you go. You can get a decent Amazon bow that's only 300 bucks and it will perform. All right guys, check out the other videos we're gonna be posting on this bow. Thanks for watching.